This is the Sleep Historian. Each night we explore the echoes of the past, stories told slowly to calm the mind and ease you towards sleep. If you enjoy these quiet journeys through time, please like and subscribe, and let the next story begin. Before any armor glints in the sun or any brushstroke glides across paper, there is land. Mountains rising like quiet guardians, rivers threading through valleys, and forests murmuring with wind. You stand on a narrow path at dawn as mist curls upward from terraced fields. Faraway temple bells echo faintly. Villages rest below, their thatched roofs dark with dew. Japan in this era feels intimate yet vast, shaped by families who farm, craft, govern, and protect. Among them, a warrior class begins to take form, not yet romanticized, not yet codified, but emerging from the rhythms of land and duty. Step further into this world, where seasons structure life more firmly than any written law. Rice seedlings sway in spring water. Cicadas pulse through the summer heat. Red maple leaves scatter across temple courtyards in autumn. Snow settles in soft layers during winter. Every task, every journey, every ritual aligns with these cycles. Within this natural cadence, the samurai class grows from provincial roots. Their role is not simply to fight, but to manage land, serve lords, maintain order, and practice disciplines that shape mind and body. Loyalty, restraint, and preparedness become daily companions, woven quietly into routine. Begin in the late Heian period, when powerful landowning families rely on mounted warriors to protect estates from bandits, rival clans, and shifting politics. You stand beside a stable where a young warrior tends his horse, brushing dust from its flank with slow, deliberate strokes. The air smells of hay, leather, and early morning chill. Nearby, elders discuss harvest yields and tax obligations. Warriors are not separate from rural life. They live among farmers, share responsibilities, and enforce agreements. Much of a samurai's early identity forms here, shaped not by grand battles but by fields, family alliances, and the unending work of managing land. Travel to a provincial manor where daily life is steady and structured. A samurai rises before sunrise, washes at a cold basin, and steps outside to greet the morning. He checks tools, organizes household tasks, and oversees boundary disputes. Inside the residence, sliding doors reveal tatami rooms lit by filtered light. A wife prepares rice and miso, placing bowls neatly on lacquered trays. Children practice calligraphy under a tutor's guidance, their brushes leaving careful strokes on pale paper. The household feels ordered, yet warm. Duty extends inward, to family, to skill, to quiet self-discipline that grows over years. In nearby villages, farmers plant and harvest according to calendars refined across generations. A samurai overseeing the area walks through paddies, speaking with elders about irrigation channels and water rights. His presence is calm rather than imposing. Authority here relies on understanding community rhythms as much as enforcing rules. You watch as he pauses to examine a sluice gate, checking whether repairs are needed. The sun glints off the shallow water, reflecting dragonflies hovering in small clusters. Even in a warrior society, much of life revolves around rice, the foundation that ties classes together, season after season. Training begins early. In a forest clearing, Young samurai practice with wooden swords, their movements deliberate rather than forceful. An instructor corrects posture, foot placement, and breathing before speed is introduced. Nearby, others practice archery, drawing long bows taller than themselves, releasing arrows that thud softly into straw targets. Between drills, students gather fallen branches, refill water buckets, and maintain the training yard. Sweat mixes with the scent of pine and damp earth. Skill is less about aggression and more about maintaining steadiness under pressure. Every lesson cultivates focus, humility, and the ability to remain calm in shifting circumstances. Religion shapes this world in quiet layers. In a small shrine at forest's edge, you find warriors offering coins, bowing twice, and clapping softly to call the attention of kami, spirits residing in trees, stones, wind, and water. The moment is brief but sincere. Buddhist temples nearby provide another rhythm. Bells at dawn, sutras recited in low voices, incense rising in faint curls. Samurai come here for guidance, meditation, or reflection. Neither faith replaces the other. Both coexist, offering balance between outward demands and inner steadiness. Spiritual life becomes a foundation beneath a warrior's discipline. As centuries pass and the Kamakura shogunate rises, samurai gain clearer structure and purpose. You walk through a military encampment near a coastal town, where rows of tents line a sandy plain. Horses stamp their hooves, ropes creak, and bamboo spears stand in orderly racks. Warriors maintain their gear in the dim morning light, oiling armor laces, sharpening blades, adjusting saddles. Yet despite the martial setting, conversations remain soft. A man shares tea with a friend, while another adjusts a frayed strap on his neighbor's armor. The atmosphere feels communal, built on mutual reliance more than bravado. Inside a commander's pavilion, maps are unrolled across a low table. Inked lines show mountain passes, rivers, and villages loyal to specific clans. Samurai sit in attentive silence as orders are explained. Their expressions remain controlled, trained not to reveal uncertainty or impatience. Outside, squires prepare supplies, rice rations, spare bowstrings, bandages, and water skins. The calm contrasts the weight of responsibility. Decisions made here ripple across entire regions. Yet even during tense moments, etiquette remains precise. Bows exchanged, voices measured, movements deliberate. Discipline extends far beyond combat. It shapes every interaction among ranks. When conflict finally surfaces, its reality is stark and brief. You stand at a distance on a hillside, watching riders gather below. Dust rises from hooves, banners snap in the wind, and commands echo faintly across the field. But the clash itself is not prolonged spectacle. Most engagements end quickly, dictated by terrain, alliances, planning, and weather rather than extended combat. Afterward, attention shifts immediately to the living, tending horses, aiding comrades, repairing gear. The hillside grows quiet again. A single hawk circles overhead. In this world, warfare is not glory or chaos, but another demanding duty woven into the fabric of service. In periods of peace, samurai adapt their skills to governance. You walk through a castle town during the Muromachi era, hearing merchants open shutters and artisans sweep doorways at dawn. Narrow streets wind between wooden buildings, their upper floors jutting slightly over the lower ones. A samurai patrols the main road, his steps measured on worn wooden planks. He pauses to greet a shopkeeper arranging pottery outside her stall. No tension hangs in the air, only mutual familiarity. Maintaining order means listening, mediating disputes, and upholding agreements. Peace demands its own discipline, steadier and more constant than battle. Travel into the countryside again, where samurai oversee farming domains. You join a land steward visiting irrigation channels after heavy rain. Workers clear debris while the steward checks embankments for weakness. The air smells of wet soil and fresh grass. Farmers gather to discuss planting schedules, seed distribution, and expected yields. The samurai listens more than he speaks, understanding that agricultural knowledge sits firmly with the people who work the land daily. Leadership here resembles tending a garden, nudging balance, preventing conflict, and maintaining stability across the seasons and years. Education remains essential. Inside a quiet room lit by paper windows, young boys, sometimes the sons of warriors, sometimes students from allied families, practice calligraphy. Their brushes glide across inkstones before touching white paper. Characters form slowly, shaped by breath and posture as much as by hand. A teacher corrects technique with gentle taps on the wrist. In another room, students recite poems about nature, impermanence, and restraint. These lessons cultivate observation and self-control. A warrior is expected to read landscapes and emotions with equal sensitivity, understanding that clarity of mind reduces unnecessary conflict. Martial arts evolve into refined practices. In a wooden hall, you watch samurai train in forms that emphasize precision over force. Two practitioners face each other, bows low, then step into a kata, movements flowing together like water guided by memory. Bamboo swords meet with a soft clack, not meant to harm but to sharpen awareness. Archers practice at long distance, arrows whispering through air toward straw targets. A master walks behind students, adjusting stances with a fingertip. Training becomes meditation, a way to quiet thought, sharpen attention, and cultivate balance that extends far beyond the training grounds. Tea ceremony becomes a central art. In a small tea house surrounded by moss and stones, a samurai kneels on tatami mats, listening to water heat over charcoal. The host moves with deliberate grace, folding cloth, lifting ladle, whisking powdered tea. Steam curls upward like a small cloud drifting toward the ceiling. Everything here is intentional. The rough clay bowl, the garden's quiet framing, the simplicity of movement. This ritual teaches humility, presence, and appreciation for impermanence. Warriors come here to steady the mind, to practice peaceful focus, and to cultivate inner clarity that supports wiser decisions beyond the tea house walls. Poetry and ink painting complement martial training. You watch a samurai paint a single bamboo stalk with swift, confident strokes. The brush seems to float for a moment before touching paper, leaving delicate lines that suggest movement more than form. Nearby, another writes a short poem about evening rain. The characters lean slightly, like reeds in a gentle breeze. These arts are not hobbies. They are tools for refining perception. Warriors learn to notice detail, rhythm, and the subtle emotions that pass between people. Sensitivity becomes strength, grounding the discipline required in other parts of life. Zen Buddhism influences samurai life deeply. Inside a monastery courtyard, gravel has been raked into flowing patterns around stones placed with thoughtful precision. A monk invites a visiting warrior to sit beneath the eaves as rain begins to fall. They listen together, acknowledging sound without clinging to it. Meditation teaches the samurai to observe thoughts like passing clouds. It also shapes their approach to duty, clarity over haste, presence over anxiety. The lessons are simple but demanding. Breathe, return to the moment, act only when necessary. Over time, this quiet training becomes a foundation stronger than armor. By the time the Edo period begins, samurai roles shift again. Long peace reduces the need for warriors, while expanding their duties as administrators, scholars, and cultural stewards. You walk through a castle town where samurai residences line straight roads on a clear grid. Lanterns hang from gates, swaying softly in the evening breeze. Inside one home, a samurai writes in a household ledger, recording stipends, obligations, and seasonal tasks. His armor rests polished but unused in a corner. Outside, children run along the street, wooden sandals tapping lightly. Peace has changed the class, but their identity still rests on discipline, learning, and service. As you step deeper into the Edo period, strict social order shapes everyday life. Samurai remain at the top of the hierarchy in name, but their authority depends on service, education, and loyalty rather than battlefield success. In castle towns, officials oversee rice storehouses, maintain records, and settle disputes. You walk past a magistrate's office where a samurai studies land reports under dim lamplight. His ink brush pauses occasionally as he listens to petitioners waiting outside. Governance becomes a craft requiring patience, fairness, and attention to detail. In these quiet responsibilities, the samurai's discipline finds new expression. Castle architecture reflects this stable era. You enter a compound surrounded by stone walls that slope outward, designed as much for beauty as defense. White plaster keeps buildings cool in summer. Wooden floors creak softly under careful steps. Inside, long corridors connect reception rooms, armories, and council chambers. A samurai guide moves through the space with practiced calm. Sliding doors open to reveal courtyards raked in clean patterns. Koi glide through ponds beneath maple trees. Even here, every detail reinforces presence and order. Castles become symbols of governance and culture, places where decisions shape the lives of thousands. Education deepens further. Samurai study Confucian texts, learning principles of harmony, hierarchy, and moral conduct. You sit in on a lesson where students kneel in rows, reading aloud in steady cadence. The teacher emphasizes respect, self-restraint, and duty to community. After class, students gather in a garden to practice brushwork, tracing characters onto waterboards where strokes evaporate slowly under the sun. The process teaches impermanence, every effort temporary, every action part of a larger pattern. Knowledge becomes a path toward clarity, guiding decisions in both family and official matters. Stipends paid in rice determine household life. You step into a samurai residence where family members measure out the month's portion, tying bags with neat knots. The scent of fresh grain fills the room. These stipends cover food, tools, clothing, and gifts required for ceremonies. Family roles are shared. A wife manages finances, children gather firewood or practice writing, and elders offer guidance. Seasons influence everything. Summers bring festivals and mosquito nets. Winters invite evenings by the hearth with stories of ancestors. Life is modest but structured, shaped more by careful planning than dramatic events. Artistic refinement continues through no drama, tea gatherings, and poetry exchanges. At a small theater, masks rest on polished stands, each carved to express subtle shifts in emotion. Performers rehearse slow, deliberate movements while musicians tune flutes and drums. A samurai sits quietly in the audience, observing the interplay of gesture and stillness. Such performances teach attentiveness. Every tilt of the head, every step, every pause carries meaning. Later, he returns home to compose a poem about moonlight on the river. Art remains inseparable from discipline, turning perception into steady inner strength. Across Japan, peace also brings change. Some samurai struggle with reduced income, taking secondary work as instructors, scribes, or guards. In a quiet side street, you see a warrior teaching neighborhood children basic sword forms using bamboo sticks. Their laughter fills the air as he gently corrects their posture. Though far removed from the battlefield, his patience and dedication reveal another side of service. Many families maintain honor not through wealth or status, but through steady effort, knowledge, and community ties. These quieter roles preserve the spirit of the class, even as society evolves around them. In rural provinces, samurai serve as intermediaries between lords and villagers. You join one traveling along a dirt path bordered by bamboo groves. Cicadas hum in the afternoon heat. He stops at each household to hear concerns about taxes, river flooding, or disputes over shared fields. His notebook fills with careful notes. A child brings him a cup of barley tea, which he accepts with a respectful bow. Leadership here feels personal, built on trust earned over years. In these interactions, the samurai's role becomes clear: guiding balance, reducing conflict, and maintaining stability across changing seasons. Travel to a mountain temple where a group of samurai gather for meditation training. The hall is silent, except for the soft crackle of incense burning. Practitioners sit in a long row, backs straight, hands folding gently into mudra. A monk strikes a small bell, its sound fading into cedar-scented air. They breathe together, releasing tension with each exhale. Meditation refines awareness, helping warriors remain present during negotiations, governance, or unexpected challenges. As the session ends, they bow toward the altar, stepping outside into crisp mountain air. The world feels quieter, steadier, shaped by deliberate attention. Now move into a time of transition, the late Edo period. External pressures rise as foreign ships appear along Japan's coasts, their silhouettes unfamiliar against the horizon. You stand on a cliff overlooking the harbor as villagers gather, murmuring softly about changing times. A samurai envoy records the ship's positions in a small notebook, his expression calm but alert. While conflict does not erupt, the encounter unsettles long-standing isolation. Questions circulate: how to protect stability, how to understand new technologies, how to maintain honor amid uncertainty. The air feels charged with possibility, like wind shifting before a storm. In castle towns, officials debate policies behind sliding doors, while lanterns flicker along corridors. You walk past a room where voices remain low but firm, as advisors weigh the risks of opening ports. Outside, the night is cool and still. A samurai messenger kneels at the threshold, awaiting instructions to deliver sealed documents across the domain. He checks the string around the scroll, ensuring it is tied tightly. Even in unfamiliar circumstances, discipline anchors every decision. The world beyond Japan begins to press inward, and samurai must adapt without losing the steadiness that defines their role. The arrival of new ideas brings tension and opportunity. In a small study hall, scholars debate foreign texts translated by interpreters. A samurai student listens closely, tracing characters in a notebook. Concepts of science, navigation, and diplomacy reshape discussions that once centered on Confucian ideals alone. Outside, townspeople examine imported tools at a marketplace stall, turning them over with curiosity. Change feels both exciting and uneasy. You sense the samurai grappling with these shifts, balancing tradition with practical needs. Their world expands slowly, like dawn spreading across a quiet landscape, illuminating both challenges and possibilities. Some samurai organize military drills to modernize their skills. You watch a group practicing rifle formations on a flat field outside town. Commands are crisp but unfamiliar, blending old etiquette with new techniques. A commander studies a manual, his brow furrowed as he adapts centuries-old training methods to emerging realities. Nearby, an armorer inspects equipment, comparing traditional armor with newly imported materials. The scene carries a mixture of nostalgia and anticipation. Even as tools evolve, the underlying values, discipline, composure, duty, remain constant, shaping how warriors confront the demands of a changing era. Economically, many families face hardship as stipends shrink. You enter a modest samurai home, where a mother repurposes old garments, sewing patches with small, careful stitches. Her husband updates household records, adjusting expenses to match the reduced income. Despite challenges, the atmosphere feels steady. Children practice writing, grandparents tend a small vegetable garden, and elders recite poems from memory. Honor resides not in wealth, but in perseverance. Quiet resilience becomes its own form of discipline, carried forward through generations, with the same steadiness that once guided warriors on ancient roads. Education broadens to include mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. You stand inside a lecture hall where students gather to hear a physician explain herbal remedies and anatomy diagrams. Lamps illuminate scrolls spread across low desks. After the lesson, a samurai student steps outside to observe stars above the castle roofline. He carefully notes their positions, connecting celestial movement with agricultural calendars and navigation charts. Learning becomes a bridge between old practices and emerging knowledge. Each new insight reinforces the idea that adaptability, not rigidity, will secure the future. Across the country, temple communities offer a refuge from uncertainty. You visit one nestled between cedar trees, its paths lined with moss and stone lanterns. A samurai arrives seeking clarity about political changes. A monk serves tea while they sit beneath a veranda, listening to distant wind chimes. Their conversation is quiet but honest. The monk encourages acceptance of impermanence, reminding the visitor that roles shift with time, but inner steadiness can remain. This guidance mirrors lessons passed down for centuries: balance over fear, presence over speculation, patience over haste. As pressures increase, samurai begin to take sides in how Japan should respond. You witness gatherings where groups discuss reforms, some advocating modernization, others defending older traditions. Voices rarely rise. Disagreement remains orderly. A samurai scribe records key points, his brush moving steadily across the page. He knows these decisions will shape generations. Outside, the evening deepens into cool stillness. Lantern light reflects on wet stones after a brief rain. Within this mixture of tension and composure, the samurai class moves toward a profound transformation that will redefine their role entirely. With the Meiji Restoration approaching, the world shifts quickly. You stand at a port where steamships release clouds of white vapor into humid air. Crowds gather to watch foreign diplomats disembark, their clothing and equipment unfamiliar. A samurai official greets them with formal bows, his expression composed. Though he once trained with bow and sword, his responsibilities now involve negotiation, translation, and diplomacy. Tradition and modernity intersect in every gesture. The harbor feels like a threshold, where centuries of inherited order meet a rapidly expanding global world. Reforms spread across regions. Samurai overseers help transition domains into modern prefectures. You accompany one walking through a busy street where merchants advertise new fabrics and tools imported from abroad. Children run between stalls, marveling at telescopes and clocks. The samurai pauses at an office where clerks discuss tax reforms. He listens carefully, aware that these changes affect every household. His notebook fills with notes, reminders, and questions. Duty now involves adaptation, supporting communities through transitions that feel both promising and uncertain. In many towns, former samurai open schools, teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic. You sit in on a lesson where a teacher calmly explains multiplication using counting sticks. Students lean forward, eager to learn. During break, he tells you that guiding young minds offers a new sense of purpose. Though he no longer serves a lord, he serves the future. His sword rests in a lacquered case at home, preserved as memory rather than tool. Teaching becomes his new discipline, transforming martial focus into educational patience. Other samurai take roles as police officers, maintaining order in growing cities. You watch patrols move through crowded streets, their uniforms blending old and new styles. They mediate disputes between shopkeepers, assist lost travelers, and guide traffic near construction sites. A sergeant studies updated legal codes in a station lit by oil lamps. His attention to detail resembles earlier training: awareness, observation, and restraint. The city hums with change. Streetlights, new bridges, and expanded markets. Amid this activity, samurai values continue quietly, shaping public service in lasting ways. Some families experience difficulty adjusting. You visit a small home where a former warrior repairs sandals to support his household. Tools hang neatly on the wall, arranged with the same precision once devoted to armor. Though life has shifted, the atmosphere feels calm. His wife tends a small herb garden, children practice reading, and elders tell stories of earlier generations. Honor remains intact, carried not in social rank, but in daily perseverance. These quieter moments reveal the depth of samurai identity, surviving change through resilience and discipline. Travel to a modernizing school where students in uniform recite patriotic songs. Former samurai serve as instructors, teaching history and ethics. You observe one teacher discussing loyalty, not to a single lord, but to shared community and national progress. He points to a map, explaining how regions connect through new railways. The lesson blends old values with modern vision. Students listen closely, absorbing both clarity and responsibility. Through education, samurai influence expands into future generations, guiding how young people understand identity and purpose in a rapidly changing world. As the old order fades, emotional weight settles quietly. You stand with a samurai at dusk as he stores his armor in a wooden chest. His movements are tender, almost reverent. The metal plates catch the last light of day before he folds the lid closed. He does not see this as loss, but transition. Identity shifts inward, from role to principle. Honor becomes how he treats his family, his work, his neighbors. You sense calm acceptance. The world changes, yet his steadiness remains, shaped by centuries of disciplined tradition. In the years that follow, samurai families adapt in countless ways. Some become scholars, doctors, or public servants. Others maintain small workshops, crafting tools or pottery. You walk through a neighborhood where former warriors sweep doorways, greet neighbors, and guide local festivals. Their presence feels gentle rather than authoritative. The values they carry, balance, attentiveness, courtesy, continue shaping community life long after formal titles fade. The samurai spirit shifts from armor and hierarchy to everyday conduct, becoming part of the broader fabric of Japanese society. Look back across centuries, and you see the samurai not as mythic figures, but as people living within their time. Their world was shaped by rice fields, mountain paths, castle towns, and seasonal rituals. You picture a young warrior practicing archery under cedars, a mother sewing clothing by lamplight, elders offering guidance during winter evenings. This life contained discipline, responsibility, and complexity, much quieter than legends suggest. The samurai existed between service and reflection, shaped by the land and by the communities they protected. Their legacy endures through values that extend beyond the battlefield. Consider the landscapes they inhabited. Snow along northern roads, cherry blossoms drifting through southern valleys, mist rolling over lakes at dawn. Travel shaped perspective. A samurai riding for days across rugged terrain learned patience from mountains, awareness from forests, and humility from weather. Nature guided decisions, ceremonies, and daily rhythms. You imagine a warrior pausing on a ridge to survey distant villages, understanding how interconnected life is. These landscapes helped cultivate clarity, an inner stillness that supported balanced action. Their world was vast, yet intimate, defined by both duty and observation. Their philosophy blended multiple traditions, Shinto grounded them in reverence for nature and ancestors. Buddhism offered frameworks for impermanence and compassion. Confucian ideals guided social responsibility and moral conduct. Together, these influences shaped a worldview where strength required restraint and authority demanded empathy. You picture a samurai reading scriptures at dawn before beginning his duties, or seeking advice from a monk during uncertain times. The harmony between action and reflection became a defining trait, echoing through generations as environments, politics, and technologies evolved around them. Material culture reveals how they understood beauty and use. Swords forged with layered steel reflected both craftsmanship and identity. Armor balanced protection with mobility, decorated subtly to signify rank. Residences used simple lines, natural materials, and open space to encourage calm. You walk through a room where tatami mats smell of fresh straw and light filters through paper screens. A single scroll hangs in the alcove, its brushstrokes conveying seasonal sentiment. Every object carries intention, reminding its owner to move with awareness and humility. These aesthetics shaped emotional presence as much as physical environment. Their legacy reaches beyond Japan through literature, cinema, and global fascination. Yet the reality behind the image remains more grounded. Centuries of families living disciplined, often modest lives. You picture a child learning to read beside a hearth, or a father returning from official duties to share a quiet meal. The samurai ethos persists in modern values of dedication, precision, and courtesy. Cultures around the world find resonance in these principles, seeing reflections of their own traditions. The spirit endures not through mythic battles, but through the universal desire for balance and integrity. Even as roles changed, the transition invited growth. Samurai adapted to new professions, embraced education, and contributed to national development. Their discipline supported technological innovation, diplomatic efforts, and cultural flourishing. You imagine a former warrior writing textbooks for a new generation, or assisting in scientific surveys of forests and rivers. Their adaptability demonstrates how identity can evolve without losing core values. Change becomes part of continuity, shaping a legacy capable of stretching across centuries. Reflect on how they approached community life. In villages and towns, samurai mediated conflicts, protected vulnerable families, and supported seasonal festivals. You stand in a summer street filled with lantern light, listening to children laugh as elders distribute sweets. A samurai helps organize the procession, ensuring harmony. These moments show service as cooperation rather than dominance. Honor meant supporting balance and nurturing connection. Through daily acts, small, steady, often unseen, they strengthened the social fabric, leaving a lasting imprint on cultural life. Finally, consider the quiet spaces that sustain them. Temples with worn steps, forests with filtered sunlight, gardens arranged to encourage stillness. Warriors visited these places to clarify thought, release tension, and reconnect with purpose. You picture one sitting beside a pond at dusk as fireflies drift above the water. His armor lies stored at home, yet his posture reflects centuries of practice. Present, attentive, calm. The samurai spirit rests in this stillness, a way of seeing the world with discipline and empathy, preserved beyond rank or era. Let your thoughts settle as you walk once more through this world. Imagine castle towns at dawn, training yards in forest clearings, tea houses warmed by charcoal, and mountain paths where travelers greet one another with quiet bows. The samurai story unfolds gently across landscapes, households, and generations. It reveals not mythic warriors, but people shaped by duty, learning, and community. Their legacy drifts forward like morning mist, soft, steady, and enduring. You carry these impressions with you as the night grows calm. Return now to your own room, to its familiar warmth and quiet. The long arc of history softens into background hush, leaving only steady breath and restful stillness. The samurai world, its rituals, seasons, and patient rhythms, fades into memory like lantern light at dusk. Honor becomes a gentle calm, settling over you as you prepare for sleep. Let the night unfold peacefully and allow rest to find you, steady and unhurried as the world grows quiet.